Good morning, one and all. I hope you are well and I hope you had a great Christmas. I am back with another video. So, I still have the same pair on watch, and that is Aussie Yen. Nothing much has changed since I last made a video. So, not really much new to break down. So, will probably use this as another opportunity to just mention one or two things that I perhaps haven't mentioned before. But let's break down the pair itself ever so quickly, and then I'll likely move on to talk about one or two other things which I think might be of value. So on the higher timeframes on the weekly chart, we have this significant high, this all-time excuse me, this all-time high according to my data, which we near missed to, and then we tap into by way of this kind of 1, 2, 3 touch structure. We break above ever so slightly, as we typically do on the higher timeframes if we're going to move to the downside, and then we have this impulse correction potential continuation to push lower to potentially take out this low here, which was the start of all of this volume, which this low near missed too. Okay, within that we can see we have an impulse correction potential continuation. So when we see, although this is a bit of a strange sequence all in all, when we have patterns within patterns, that increases the likelihood of what we're anticipating actually manifesting itself. You can see that we're gravitating back up, and if we drill down a little bit more, you can see we're probably gravitating up towards here, because after we broke out of all of this volume, we had the 1, 2, 3 reversal structure, which taps into this volume where there was a big exchange of liquidity last time around. That gives me a clue that that's likely where we'll respond to, because this sell-off itself gives me a clue that there's volume there enough to send it to the downside. We do break out of all of this eventually, and we leave a footprint which narrowly misses the back end of the base of all of this volume. So that seems like a good area which we would gravitate back towards. The other clue that we might do that is that when we tapped into this area, we wicked to the area and not through it, and we did so by way of a very bullish candle. The other clue was that after we tapped into that area, we moved down by way of this very indecisive bearish candle. And the other clue was the fact that it was coming up to Christmas. So it's no surprise to me that we're doing exactly, as I said, it's not about being right. I've said that in the past, but it's not a surprise to me, regardless, that we've just corrected sideways, which is exactly what I was anticipating. Now, this could be, at this moment in time, this could be one of two things. This could be volume accumulation here, where we get this impulse correction, and initially we were looking for a move to the downside, but this correction becomes so wide that we end up breaking to the upside. And with this much volume being generated as well, it wouldn't surprise me if we break above and break, if we are going to move to the downside break significantly above, because of how much volume's generated here. The other alternative is that this just becomes a bit of a middle section like that, okay, where we have this kind of structure. And this is, again, I'm talking about if this is going to move to the downside. This could just rocket to the upside because of all of this volume, and then we start correcting up here, and then we do that. Okay, if that happens, I'm not going to chase this, because for a long position, this hasn't come from an area of value, won't have come from an area of value to move it to the upside. So I'm not actually interested in the long positions, but just thought I'd mention that. So what I'll be looking for on this pair, very simply, is the same as I was looking for before. However, because I'm becoming mindful of the fact that a lot of volume is being generated within here, that volume could cause this to break out a bit higher than it otherwise might have done. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, it means that, if we just sort of do this and then move like that, I'm less inclined to take a flag here. Well, one, that's not really hasn't broken above, but I'm less inclined to take that, because this amount of volume, if we start to break to the upside, especially if we only break back in there and we're kind of knocked back within this structure, that implies that this could be a tag in, tag out. We end up retesting the back of this and then moving to the upside. So I would want to see a significant break above before we break back in, because of the amount of volume that's generated here. And we also have to consider that because we've come from a move up, this could be a phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, which therefore makes this, increases the risk ever so slightly. Okay, if this hadn't come from a move up here before going into this correction, then the confluence factors would be even stronger on this pair. So that is Aussie Yen. That's what I'm going to be looking for today. The other thing that I wanted to talk about ever so quickly is one of the things that we do in the Falcon community is we track, well, I track my flow zone score. Okay, just an overall kind of, I guess you could say it's slightly subjective, but just tracking your state of mind and the quality of your thoughts, etc., and rating yourself. I do this 3 times a day: once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and once in the evening. Track my flow zone score on a scale of 1 to 10. How do I feel mentally? Because as we know, trading is a psychological game. And one of the things that's really helped me these past few days, so I mentioned in a previous video that I'm a musician and I've been writing songs and poems and things since I was 15. I put a post out in the Falcon community last night about this. I hadn't, until Christmas Day, I hadn't actually written any songs or poems since 2018, certainly not any songs with lyrics in them. And so I did this when I was reflecting on Christmas Day. I wrote a little poem, and it had a significant impact on my psychological state. Okay, this is I feel that this is something that I was sort of destined to do. Writing, it's something I find, not meaning to sound arrogant, but I find it quite easy, and I always have. And it's kind of one of those things. It makes me think about, we're taught within the community to focus on our why, our reason for doing what we're doing, and not just the how questions. And I think what happens is, as you get older, because I started writing when I was in my teens, as you get older, you can fall into the trap of asking yourself, how do I make more money? How do I do this? And then these things that you were good at and that you enjoyed as a kid, when you weren't making any money because you were a kid and people weren't paying you for them, these things get pushed to one side and you end up doing things that make you money rather than doing things you actually enjoy. And it's difficult to ever break through to any real level of success if you're only ever doing things for the money. Some people do that, but for the majority, it tends to be, people tend to make a lot of money doing something they really enjoy. So, it's one of those things I need to keep doing, and it's one of those things I will keep doing. And we're encouraged to find things that get us into a state of flow, high state of flow quickly. And that is one of those things. If I just do the poems and songs don't always come quickly to me, but the process of actually starting writing one in the first place actually just gets me into a higher state of flow. So even if I don't finish one very quickly, just starting one in the first place tends to get me into a high state of flow. So that's something I'm going to be doing moving forward. So I encourage you to think about what gets you into a high state of flow. It might have nothing to do with trading. It might be, completely different industry, completely different pastime. But just find out what that is, because that will have a direct impact on your trading results. But anyway, I just thought I'd talk a little bit about something a little bit kind of off topic, but that is what I'm going to be looking for today, folks. I will be back with another video likely tomorrow. I'm not anticipating the liquidity on these pairs to be especially high as we go into New Year. I think there might be a little bit of a slight hiatus in terms of liquidity, but we shall see. It's not for us to take our foot off the ball. As I said in my last video, it's for us to show up as if there is going to be opportunities and a lot of liquidity, and then we don't end up sleeping on the job if the market does present something. Anyway, folks, have a great day. I hope you had a smashing Christmas, and I'll see you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.